I'm going to talk about production in this one, music production, and just all around stuff. There's really, I think I'll go outside too. There's really, I don't know if it's cold, I'll be back in. There's two levels to production, really. One is, need to get my trash can. One is the artistic side of it, and one is the technical side. And being, see if anybody's around out here. No. And you really need to know, you absolutely have to know everything there is to know about both to be a real producer. I have a couple of friends, and a bunch of people put the word producer by their name, and people I know personally, and other people, and I'm pretty sure they don't even know what the word implies or indicates. In a couple of cases, I'm positive, they don't have the skills or the chops, but they put the word beside their name. A lot of people do, but you need the technical and the artistic chops. And on YouTube, a lot of people say, well, it's just YouTube, or it's good enough for YouTube. But you have the greatest artists in the world have offerings on YouTube, and everybody's there. It's a great marketing tool. So, I separate YouTube out into a few categories, and you have that which is bad, which is just bad, artistically bad, and whether it's recorded great or not, it's just bad. And sometimes you can take something that's bad and artistically bad and record it great, and it sounds huge. Then there's a lot to be said on each of these topics, and I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. There's bad, and the bad has, low end, high end. Then there's mediocre, which is probably the most dangerous level, because most people don't realize that they're mediocre, and it's the hardest level to punch out of, to punch through and move on to good and then excellent. And you can have the high end of mediocre, where looks hot over there, where things are good mediocre. Like at the high end of mediocre, bordering on good. So you have bad, mediocre, good, and then excellent. So on the artistic side, so as a producer, it's your job to take stuff of all levels and make it as good as, bring out the best, make it as good as it can possibly be. And it's on the artistic side, those are sort of the levels. And then the technical side, I've had more than 12 years of higher education in all subjects, various, but all pertaining to how to produce music and how to record and how to deal with the technical side. I would say to anybody in this day and age, anybody who's an artist needs to know how to record their own stuff. And it's so expensive to have professionals do it, and the technology's there at this day and age where that little dog is really distracting. He's in a frequency spectrum that'll come out on this little mic pretty well too. It's such a deep thing. I could give you a year on one tiny aspect of the technical side. Compression. How do things, compression and recording, and you know, they're all very detailed subjects, and you know, I'm the kind of person, it surprised an artist one time. He's at the high end of mediocre, almost good, and he had gotten sort of a record label deal, and it was my job to produce him. And I went in, and we were recording, and he decided that at a major label, their studios, you know, the cost is probably about 10 grand a day when all's said and done with an operation like that. And he decided he was going to record, mix. He didn't even know what mastering was, but if that was it, he was going to do it. You know, everything to do with the recording. And, you know, so this told me right away he didn't understand what was involved, didn't understand me, and everything I'd been through to get to that level, you know. So he took off. It had been recorded by me already, his stuff, his band, and he took off trying to mix the stuff. A good analogy would be, and this is years ago, you know, there's no real hard feelings or resentment left, but he just didn't understand. Somebody once said to me, if you knew that you guys sound terrible, that would be something, but you don't even know that. And that's at the high end of sort of bad, or beginning to be mediocre, where you don't even know you're kind of bad. But this guy was, here's this guy. Man, it's a busy day out here. And, look at that dog. Howdy.
Howdy.
He looks like he might get mean at times.
Pardon me?
He looks like he might get mean at times.
No, he's a seeing eye dog.
Is he?
Was.
He
was for 8 years.
Uh,
He was my hunting dog, and we donated him to the seeing eyes.
really?
Yeah, I'm trying to get him out of his seeing eye instincts.
Yeah, 'cause he looked real official.
Well, they use black labs a lot because they found
Yeah.
it's a better breed than German Shepherds, because they're more docile. They
I'll be
acclimate
darned.
themselves to different climates or different situations.
That's a heck of a deal. Let me get your picture with your dog here. I was kind of taking pictures and stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. Come, Magnum. Come on.
Magnum. Cool. Yeah, thanks. That'll make a nice little
Yeah,
snap.
he's a great dog.
Yeah, he looks on point.
Yeah, he is. He used to.
Hey, buddy, don't you bite me.
Before we gave it to him, he used to retrieve our ducks and geese,
Yeah.
rabbits and squirrels. But they kind of got him out of that. That peppermint, unfortunately. Come on. That's why he worked so close. I mean, I could walk around here without a leash.
Yeah, I noticed he was looking official, like hanging tight, looked like he knew what he was doing, you know.
I try to get him out of that routine,
Yeah.
but it's gonna take a while.
See you later.
Okay, where do you live?
Right down there. My mom lives up there, though.
I have a hearing from. Where did you say you live?
Oh, I live right there. That's my RV there.
Oh, is that yours?
Yeah.
I hear music coming out of it every so often.
Yeah. I was a professional music producer in Los Angeles for about
really?
30 years and
What's
owned a
your first
studio.
name?
My name's Eric.
Eric?
Let me put that
I'm
down.
sorry.
I was just ready to spark up a cigarette.
Mine's Greg.
Greg?
We're newbies here. We moved into right behind the mailbox up there.
Yeah. My mom lives right up there too. That's
What's her name?
her name's Gaynell. You probably see her in her I was going to say her old man, but nowadays he really is her old man.
What street does she live on?
Miller Court.
Oh, okay.
Right up there.
Oh yeah, that's not very far from where we are.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I have a smoke there? And
Yeah, you want to smoke?
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Yeah, thanks.
So, yeah, the long and short of it is, you want one of those?
Sure. What is it?
They're called Clippers.
Oh, those. Yeah, sure. I'll try it. The other guy smoked these things over there. on the other side there.
What's that? Oh, you didn't light?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Does the old lady get on your case for smoking or something?
Oh no, no, not at all. We don't have that type of relationship.
Well, that's nice.
We're both firefighters anyway.
Really? That's a cool occupation.
Well, we're volunteers, but we do a lot of work with the fire department in our fire district.
Yeah.
Yeah. It runs in the family. It's been running in my family since the 1800s.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've kind of noticed that. As you get a light going, you may have to.
Where's the light? Right here.
There you go. Magnum.
He's one of the smartest dogs we ever had. And that's why the Institute for the Blind wanted him. But he's great with kids. Oh my God.
What happened to the blind person he was working with?
Passed away.
That's what I figured. I was going to say, why would they have a perfectly good
Well, they get to
guide
a
dog?
certain age.
Oh, Magnum.
He's going to be 12 years old, and after a certain age, they sort of bring in new stocks.
Mm.
You know, because. So, yeah, he's been a great dog. Yeah. So we walk around the court as much as we can,
Yeah.
because actually he was raised on our farms and with a livestock and stuff. He's an outdoor dog.
Where'd you have a farm at?
Way upstate New York, my cousin's around the block's got a huge dairy farm. My other cousin's got a huge poultry farm, chicken farm. My other cousin's got a beef cattle and dairy farm, and sells flowers and shrubs and ornamental stuff and cash crops, you know, for the season.
Yeah.
You name it, pumpkins, beans, squash, tomatoes. So, yeah, we come from a very agricultural community. We're only about 35 miles south of Canada, across the pond.
Man, it must get cold up there.
Oh, it gets cold.
I thought I detected a northerly accent in there.
Well, I don't know if it's, I guess it's a northerly accent, but...
Very slight. Very slight. Seems like maybe there's hints of New York or New Jersey in there a little bit.
Yeah, that could be. I went to school down there.
And then also there seems to be some Middle Eastern coast, like in the mid of the Eastern coast in there. I speak Chinese also, so a lot of that's about the inflection. So since I learned that, it's like ni hao. The singing tone is part of the way you do it, and so it's they have completely different, like how, all three mean something different. So I was just thinking last night, I met a girl from England, and I was like, when for a couple years into, I have a wife who's Chinese and son. Anyway, my attention to accents had become so acute after that I could tell exactly the city she was from and everything, you know.
Wow.
So anyway, that's what I noticed. In people's speech, I can tell where they've lived all their lives sometimes, you know.
Well, with me, it's a different thing. I lived in Pennsylvania. I lived in...
where they rotated around, I could hear northern, a little New Jersey, a little sort of middle, different words have different inflections.
Exactly.
And by the way, I grew up on a ranch, and my mom lives up there, and of course she was there.
Where is this?
In southwest Missouri.
Oh, sure.
And we had a 1,000-acre ranch there, and I grew up as a cowboy.
Oh, yeah. It's a great life. I mean, Sherry came from a farm family, too. Big farm family, central New York. We're fortunate enough to live where we are. It's a different... The hospitality is really different. It's like living back in the 50s. I mean, you go over to our friend's house, and neighbor's house, and they'll say, hey, we just cooked a peach pie, or we just cooked an apple pie. Would you like a slice, a cup of coffee? That's the way it is in our little neighborhood. You don't get that in urban areas as much, because everyone's working. They got their schedules so, geared up, especially as kids. They're carting those kids all over the place.
Yeah, I spent 30 years owning and running a recording studio in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
And I didn't, in all the places I lived, I didn't get to know a single neighbor, I don't think. You live next to people and don't know them at all there, you know.
It's really a shame. But I think it's up to the individual neighbors to welcome a neighbor into the neighborhood. We just got a new neighbor in back in January, just before we left. They're a delightful couple. We just haven't had a chance to touch base with them until we get back.
Where then do you live in this
Yeah, we
here?
live down here.
Which part of the year?
Well, January, February, March, April.
Which area in this little complex do you live in?
Right, you know where Dana Court is? Right,
Yeah.
Right behind the community hall there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I walk around here too, and I ended up, I'm dealing with a long-term illness, and that's why I ended up retiring out of the studio business, and I bought this RV, and it's been like 5 years now. That's
You've
why
been in this court for 5 years?
No, only 2.
Yeah. What brought you to this court?
My mom lives here.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, I didn't think I was going to survive when I had cancer, so I packed all of my valuables into that, and I said I'll bring them out to my mom. And it turns out I did survive. It meant a lot of pain, but I survived, you know.
Yeah, you look great for whatever ailment you have.
Well, there's a couple of them, but yeah, you know. So anyway, that's why you hear music occasionally. I produced, and mainly I was a mastering engineer at the highest levels. I mean, you probably don't go through a day where you don't hear something I did. And everybody from Kenny Rogers to the most, hardest hardcore people there are, and London Philharmonic, you know. So anyway, that's why you hear music. I sometimes do stuff across the internet. I'll still work and make a little extra money doing mixes and mastering.
Well, that's quite a skill. I mean, I always admire people that can use that technology for a career. With my kids, I was pretty much a single parent for a while, and spent a lot of time with my kids, and music and sports, and the outdoors, boating, fishing, sailing, stuff like that. And I always told them, find something you really, really enjoy. Pursue it and see if you can make a career out of it. Well, 2 of my kids did.
What would they do?
Well, my daughter is a full-time science and biology teacher, and she runs. Running has been in our family for 4 decades, I believe, starting with my grandfather, who was in the Olympics back in the 1900s. So she loved to run, and she finally got a job teaching. And the reason she landed this particular job is because they were looking for cross-country coach, an indoor coach, and an outdoor coach. She didn't know it at the time when she did her student teaching. And they put their clutches in her, and they recruited her. She's been teaching for about 6 or 7 years.
Now, I lost track, was that through the science and biology thing?
Yeah, she teaches freshmen biology and science.
High schoolers, or?
Yeah, high schoolers, yeah. She got her pre-med degree and undergraduate school with honors, and went on to get her master's degree in teaching in biology, pre-med. So she loves it. She was here a couple of weeks ago, came down to visit us during spring break.
Well, it's a world of specialization, and yeah, I was just, I got into recording. Recording got me into computers, and I have a master's degree in computer science, and all recording turned to computers in about the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And I happened to, at that time be getting a degree, and I started a studio, and I just, you know, it dovetailed perfectly in. But it's a very highly technical and highly specialized thing, recording art.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And then it's all computers now. So anyway, that's how I got into it, you know.
Well, it seems like you found a niche and you filled it. That's important.
When I got into it, I could do things so much, and still, but and with the credits and the levels I worked on, if I wasn't really in a lot of pain and just not feeling well, I would not be here at all. But when I got into it, I could do things so much quicker and easier and more efficiently with computers versus tape, that everything's recorded into a computer, and you don't have to, you can chop it all up and put it in. It's just crazy nowadays, just like word processing.
Yeah,
it is.
I imagine it is.
Yeah, well, it really is. And so, but at first, I was one of the first people in LA that had a digital studio doing that, and in an industry where they definitely don't want you, and they want to push all newcomers out. They couldn't. I put out an ad, started at $25 an hour. Within 6 months, it was $250 an hour. Then I had 8 rooms at $250 an hour at the end.
Wow.
24 hours a day.
Good heavens.
About 6 of them filled usually. Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, that's a lucrative business.
Oh man, was it lucrative? You're talking about each room at $4,000 a day. You know.
That's marvelous. It's got to be a real love of the career.
Yeah, it was I'd like to say I planned it all, but it just so happened. It seemed like I loved computers as a kid. Seemed like that was the thing to get into. I also played music and in bands, and I wanted to record that and have my recording sound as good as what was on the radio.
Oh yeah.
And then really, because mine sounded terrible when I started. It was just, you know how it is.
Oh,
this recording sound terrible, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Why don't mine sound great like those guys? And then I went to school and I learned, well, it's all done on computers, or I was going to school for computers, and I found out that, there's new technology. It's starting to all be done on computers. Then I went to a recording art school for 2 years, one of the top schools in the world, to learn all about that. Next thing you know, it's 30 years later, and I had a hell of a career, and there's hardly a movie star or a rock star I haven't met or worked with personally.
What an illustrious career.
It was cool.
You're the only person I know that actually did mixing like that professionally, had such a lucrative business, because the type of people, we're not exposed to that type of clientele or that type of career. Although my dad played violin, my brother played the bagpipes. I hammer at the piano, but not very well. My daughter plays clarinet, or did. So music is a great pastime. Soothes the soul.
Everybody loves it. Everybody loves music. It's one thing you can count on. And it's growing up like I did on a ranch, same as you. It's sort of it just seems so unrealistic that you'll ever meet anybody famous, much less work with them, much less make a living at music.
Right.
It's still, I don't talk about it with my mom. I have hundreds and hundreds of gold and platinum albums came through my mastering lab. Kenny Rogers came through Florida, and a good friend of mine, Chuck Jacobs, he plays bass with one of the many, many people I know in the business. Anyway, that's one of the only times he gave us free tickets down here a year ago to go take her to Kenny Rogers, and she was so impressed. I was like,
good heavens.
Yeah, that was big to them. And I was like, that's like the least of my stuff, Mom. But until I showed her something like that, and I was like, you want to go back and meet Kenny? I know him,
Good heavens. I like Kenny Rogers. I have quite a few of his CDs, and I just like his voice.
Yeah.
I remember when he started out with the New Christie Minstrels guitar player.
Yeah.
And I think it was New Christie, or wait a minute, Serendipity Singers or something like that. And the Hootenanny.
I remember his early days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the end of that, the thought I was trying to express, so she didn't believe a damn word I was saying until I showed her one example of the many, many, many people I know got free tickets to Kenny, which, he's getting up there.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And the face thing didn't help.
Yeah.
And also, I told my friend that plays bass, I was like, you better pray he doesn't discover karaoke, because the draw is Kenny, not the band, it's not about a live band, and it was kind of so well produced and controlled that he might as well have been singing along with a CD. And so
now,
I told my
sing
friend,
at all, Eric?
Oh yeah. Are you on the internet at all?
Never. I don't like to download a lot of stuff. I had a problem back in 2007. One of my Florida friends came up, one of my boating selling buddies, and two pals came and stayed with us for about 2 weeks. And he asked if he could use a computer. I said, yeah, you can use the PC. Well, his friend, took it to the point he changed the password, he changed the identity, and about less than a week later, our computer completely crashed. And was it motherboard or hard drive went. I had lost all my photographs of my kids. I lost photographs of my family, all my email addresses, all my research I was doing, and I was so ticked off. So from that moment on, I said, I'm not getting into a website unless it's protected. If I really wanted to do some research, I'll just go down here to the Mount Dora Library.
Well, you know what I do? I put all my stuff on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, so anybody can get to it, and it's definitely safe. You can just go on YouTube.
I wouldn't even go on Facebook. I just don't think it's a secure, how should I say, a site. I mean, there's so much information out there swimming around on the internet. Anyone can have access to your vital information. That's why we don't put anything of any importance on our stuff.
I hear you.
I mean, I had friends that lost their identity, and they had a hell of a time trying to prove to the authorities that they are who they are. Anyway, do you play any musical instruments?
I played drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, and sing. And that's one of the things I've been doing too, is I've been, believe it or not, out of that RV there, I have a state-of-the-art recording system, and I've been updating classic songs with very high-quality recordings. That's why I was trying to send you to the internet or the YouTube, because one of the things, I was walking around with this little camera here, I keep a vlog on the internet, and thousands of people follow my music, and hundreds follow my vlog. In other words, I was just talking about music production when you came up. For people who are just getting started, or at all levels, I'm an accomplished guy, and people watch these damn things. I put these videos and pictures and stuff on the internet. I can't believe it. Hundreds and thousands of people watch them. So anyway, it's cool. I was going to send you there, but yeah, I play all the instruments that would be required of a professional music producer, and sing, and a lot of times one of my things too is to be called into for major labels to bring together an act and make it recorded in a presentable way for release, and I'd get $250,000 for 6 months or something like that. But it's all day, every day, and part of that money was studio time and stuff.
Sure.
But I'd make a lot of money at it. But, I'm that kind of guy. I play all the instruments, and can help them bring a product, and it is a product. Even Kenny or these great icons. I have a friend who plays guitar with Paul McCartney, so on both ends I have the most famous rock star in the world, probably still, like genuine rock star, Paul McCartney.
Sure.
Brian plays guitar with him, and Chuck plays with Kenny, and I know people all in between. These are guys I've known, good friends of mine. So anyway, I'm able to sort of work with all styles, whether it's country or rock or classical, and I would get called in a lot to make these things very high quality recordings, and but also technically and artistically make sure that this thing is really something that's people are going to want to buy.
Sure. Kind
of a deal. And so that was my deal. The thing you don't plan on in life is getting sick long term or having problems.
Well, tell me about it. Our family has had, in the last 4 years, some real tragic situations with cancer.
I've had it twice and survived.
God bless you, Eric, because not too many people do survive. Some of the, like bone marrow cancers and liver cancers and pancreatic cancers and things of that nature. It gave me a real wake-up call about 4 years ago. Actually, 2 years ago was a real...
What age are you?
What, I'm close to 70. I said.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd have guessed like maybe 55.
Oh, everyone
60.
thinks I'm 55.
55 would have been my
Yeah,
shot. I didn't really look close, but
When I went out to see my daughter there, we go out to see her as often as we can, and she wanted me to meet her head track coach, and because he heard all about me, about our, I guess our decades of track performance in our family, and he just, through my daughter, he found out that we have a pretty neat family, and he was just delighted to meet me. It was just so nice to meet somebody that, when he looked at me, he said, Lisa is 30 years old. That means you must have been 20 or 22 when you... And I said, I wish I waited a long time to pay off my debts, because when I got my first undergraduate degree, I owned, tens of thousands of dollars, and worked 5 years, 3 jobs to pay that down. And I decided, well, now I paid off the truck, and I paid off the car, and I got a small home, 1-bedroom home, and about time I find somebody to share my life, and that's what happened. Lisa was born 3 years after we got married, and my son was born 3 years after that. So I said, no. This was last year, and Thanksgiving. He says, how old are you? And I said, pushing 70. He said, get out of here. And
yeah, no
and
doubt.
Lisa's classmates were there. We're doing the, they have a race. They have like an 8K race there every year, Thanksgiving Day. And she asked me if I'd go over there and help dispense the water. And she said, Dad, I want you to meet my 3 assistant coaches. I want you to meet the head coach, and I want you to meet some of my students. And he looked at me and said, Lisa, is that your brother? She said, my daughter looks like an angel. I mean, she is so young looking. And she said, no, that is my dad. She said, oh my God, I heard so much about you. I said, well, I hope it's all good. And we had a good talk. But I guess, I worked
He held
hard.
up good.
Well, I worked hard, and I used to run at one time and row. And I was in scouts for 30 years, in and out, church and fire department. So.
By the way, before I forget, I'm an engineer into all kinds of materials and design and all that kind of stuff. I had that exact same pair of boots with that exact same problem.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that when you engineer and design
Yeah.
and produce
Oh, yeah.
things and items I've worked for several major huge companies, 3M, 3Com, Motorola,
Right.
as a consultant. But when you're an engineer in materials, you'll see I had that exact pair of boots, and that exact same thing happened. I threw them out.
Well,
But isn't that crazy? They could make a better
sure.
seam than that.
I love these
Yeah,
boots.
I did too.
They're so comfortable. I can walk on pavement, which some boots and sneakers will kill my feet.
Yeah, those were great. They're soft inside.
They're soft inside,
They have a good
and they
sole.
finally, I gotta get some shoe group.
But see, I
They
think
finally cracked.
that is a design, and that's a
right.
design flaw,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's the same with computers.
Yeah.
When you read on the internet, sort of like about data collection, you'll see like you have a problem with your computer. Say your hard disk blows, or a certain model, number, year, that exact computer. If you look around and collect all the data, you'll see everybody had that problem because it's a design flaw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know, because
a lot of stuff
my,
like that. Even shoes, though. I just love that.
My Buckeye buddies, I call them out in Ohio. They're retired Firestone engineers. In fact, one is a not quality control, standards engineer. He goes around to like Sao Paulo in Japan. And in fact, he spent a decade out there in Japan with his family working with Bridgestone, Firestone. And my brother's an engineer too. He worked for Procter & Gamble. So we come from very analytical. They said we're analytical. I guess we are. But anyway, so I see things. And in fact, you just spoke of something that just hit home. We have a microwave that, when we bought the place, was like 18 months old. And it was a Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
And the original owner said that all the buttons and lights were blinking on and off. They finally had to disconnect it. But we needed a microwave, so I took it apart, took the keypad apart. And you're familiar with electronics. It has a electrical ribbon, probably about 12 lines that went in it. Well, what these moron designers did, instead of putting that ribbon through like a little canal or a little slot going from the keypad to the memory board, they put it over a little hump. a little lip.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the moisture got into it because it was slightly cracked, and eventually I fixed it, but we only could get the following numbers: 0, 1, 6, and 7. All the other functions were shot. So we used it for about a month, and it finally gave up. So we went down here at Lowe's, tried to get one similar to it. We found one. It was not a Linton, it was a Whirlpool. And I said to the guy, I said, "This is a reliable one?" He said, "We haven't had any problems with this." We saw a General Electric one, very similar, that would have fit in equally as well. And I said, "Well, how can you go wrong with General Electric?" Well, we said, "We don't have any. You have to back order them." So I said, "Where's your closest store?" "Well, there's one down in Ocala down here, Patka, wherever, down here this way, about 20 miles away." So we went down there. They had one on display, and the gal said, "Gotta tell you something. We're not ordering any more of these GEs." And Sherry goes, little red flag goes up, right? So we have these Whirlpools. I said, "Well, we can get a Whirlpool." So we went online somehow and checked out the performance factor, like, what's that, Consumer Reports. Oh my God. Do not buy GE. The keypad went in 6 months. Do not buy a GE. It's a piece of junk. It went in a year. And they're going on and on about the report, so we decided we'll go back to Lowe's right here and we'll pick up the Whirlpool. So we did a research on Whirlpool, and it's an excellent model. Very reliable, very good. So that's what we had. But, you know, we try to do our research, but sometimes in the throes of all the daily things you got to do, you kind of overlook the essentials.
Well, sure. Oh, that's the damn key to life right there. I mean, you know, and technology exists, especially in computers, but in all things that are electronic. Now, you can build in, like a hard disk has a rating, an MTBF, manufacturer's time before failure. Well, you can build into those things that right after the guarantee wears out, the thing will wear out. So they have to buy another one.
Yeah.
You can program everything about a computer to stop working right when it's no longer guaranteed, where they have to replace it. But everything is that way. Microwaves, etc. It does. I bought a microwave. Mine played out too. And the thing is, you're right. You see design flaws and stuff, and the internet and data collection and research analysis, statistical mechanics allow you to analyze this and go, well, everybody who bought one of these says it doesn't work.
Yeah.
They used to be able to get away with it, you know. And it's not, it's just good business. In a way, it's bad business on their part, but good at one point, you know.
Well, it's short-term profit, but that's the trouble with this country and business.
Yeah.
I come from a very strong business background. In fact, my profession was professional business consultant. And basically what that is, we're problem solvers.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got my degree in business, and after degrees, and I loved it because I loved interacting with people, and I just had a way of solving problems. Not all the time, but pretty much. My boss threw his hands up and said, "Greg, I can't make heads or tails. I can't read between the lines. Can you take this home and can you see if we can reach a solution?" Problems are, and I think I have a solution. Can we sit down? He said, "Oh yeah, sure." I didn't know. How did you know about that? I said, "Well, it just comes natural to me. I can see something, look at it, diagnose it, and try to fix it." In fact, my career was such that it took a lot of brain power. I'm not a real smart person, but what I loved to do was work on engines and motors. In fact, I just finished rebuilding a Honda 75 CB360T.
I had a 650, CB650.
Oh, yeah. Damn good bikes.
With the single exhaust.
Yeah.
And I did that whole thing myself. Yeah, I grew up with motor. I grew up with a wrench in my hand.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. I loved doing it. In fact, what it allowed me to do was break away from this routine of constant brain drain, as I called it. Go out in the garage and either make something or rebuild a car or rebuild a motorcycle, ATV, or my fishing. I love to fish. And, you know, I just finished restoring 6 poles I got at the flea markets and garage sales because I get bored down here. In fact, I got so bored, Eric, I picked up a guitar down the road at one of the places in Tangerine. Probably played a little too much for it, but I thought maybe I can pick it up and play some chords. I fiddled with it, but
Acoustic or?
it's acoustic, and
Yeah.
it's a Fender reproduction made in whatever, not Taiwan, Korea. And I'm having difficulty with the strings. It seems like they're above the.
Oh, the action sucks.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. I looked at it. It looked like a nice guitar.
Oh, it's a whole deal. I've got probably 40, 50, 60 guitars, 10 or 20
I love
with
to
me.
play guitar because I can read music, and I go up here to the community hall on the upright. I didn't have any sheet music, and I haven't played piano in 10 years, so my piano playing was just for my kids. And I'm sitting down, and my fingers are just starting to get limber. They're just starting to go where the notes are supposed to be, and I can read music, but I've been away from it so long, putting the notes from the measure down to the fingers.
Well,
I can play real simple tunes. It's getting there. But with the guitar, I thought, see, I didn't know they had a piano here until.
Do they?
Yeah, they have an upright.
Really? In the shop up there in
right
the
up there,
community building?
Yeah.
I'll
where
be
the
dang.
laundry thing is. So I sat down with it today, and one of the gals, Dorothy, she's running the painting clinic at 1 o'clock. I got in there about 12. I put out some sheet music I found here at Renninger's.
Yeah.
And I started sitting down, and I hear a noise behind me. Oh, probably the door swinging back.
Piano in tune at all? They're always suspect.
For me, it's okay. I just need to get some, like Elmer's glue, and put a couple pieces of the ivory back on. And I heard someone shuffling papers or something. I look around, it's Dorothy, tall, blonde, real nice lady.
Yeah.
She said, man, you're playing good. I saw. I go, yeah, sure. I said, would you like to play for our potluck dinners? I said, Dorothy, there's no way I'm going to perform in front of an audience because I'm so critical myself, and I know what people say. I know it. Damn it, I've been playing piano since I've been 12 years old. You know, I used to play classical music and all this stuff. But it got to a point where you get ridiculed for hitting one note.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that. I only play for my kids and my family and myself, no more before an audience, because people are hypercritical. Even though they don't know a damn thing about reading music. Oh, you hit the note wrong. No shit, Sherlock. You know? Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah.
And those people I just stay away from. That's why when I go there, I go at night and I fix the bulb in the lamp because the bulb blew. And so
I guess they'd be what they call on the internet haters.
I don't put labels on people.
The general term for people who are very critical. Oh, you're just a damn hater.
Yeah. So I learned this, early on in scouting. Teaching kids canoeing, sailing, and rowing, and firearm safety. So I'm very cautious about people's feelings, and I'm cautious about my own feelings. I mean, I have very, very wide shoulders, very thick skin. I've been exposed to all kinds of bullshit. I worked in New York City delivering ticker tape when I was going to school down there, so I could make more money living in New York City area. 5 of us fraternity brothers, or we weren't even a fraternity yet, rented an apartment, and we made twice as much money working in the New York City area than coming back home and working someplace else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was able to pay for 1 year almost plus tuition. One summer.
Before I forget it, the thing about guitar, I got a bunch of them, and some of my guitar nut friends, where I'm a guitar nut, I've got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I even had, insanely like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 ones at one time. I've sold a bunch of those. But anyway, for a couple years at a time, I've gotten into setting the action on them, how high the strings are.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So I used to work on them more than I played them, and I had to quit that. I've been playing all my life.
Do you have any tools that...
Oh, yeah.
To me,
but
I look at the nut.
Yeah.
And that is the one...
The bridge and the nut have to be set up just perfect, or it's hard to play, and then it'll discourage a new person. What my point was, if it's hard to press the strings down, you won't learn or want to play because it hurts.
Right. Well, at one time, 50 years ago, I did play a little guitar in college because I was doing the hootenanny, you know, the hippie era. And my the tips of my fingers are really tough, but now they're like milk toast. I mean, I'm used to hard work. These are not money counting hands. These are hard, friggin' laboring, fix 'em up hands, and I am proud of my hands.
Money counting hands.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. When I worked in Wall Street, you know, delivering ticker tape as a snot-nosed teenager, I met some influential people down there, and you know, at some of the Wall Street brokers and things, and some of these gals. This is during the miniskirt era. I just loved the job, but it's hard friggin' work. I mean, I used to get home, and I get back home, and I should just collapse on the couch, and just because it's like 80 degrees down, there's no ventilation. You're driving a truck through Wall Street and uptown, downtown, midtown, Manhattan, Garment District, the Oranges, New Jersey, Long Island. It's a great paying job, but you earned your friggin' living. You know, I had to fight with the taxi cab drivers and teach them in Italian, you know, and
a couple thoughts occur to me, and I forget stuff, so I'm sorry to interrupt you constantly.
No, that's okay.
But one thing, guitar, the action, if it's bad, you won't want to play.
Yeah.
And it's a whole but anybody pretty much using common sense and reading on the internet can set one up. The other thing is when I got my master's in computer science, and started a recording studio, and I had a lot of success. Well, somehow I got setting up the first website for AT&T, 3Com, Motorola, Porsche, the list goes on. Their very first websites. Somehow, I don't even know how, that led me into consulting. And what you said about consulting was how here's what I think the key was. I was able to come into huge companies, and I'd just say, open all your statistical data. Let me look at your books. And coming in from the outside, I had a fresh perspective because I wasn't so tied to it.
That's exactly.
I could go, and they never take my advice, but even AT&T, I go, look, guys, you're paying me ridiculous amounts of money to come here, set up your network. You've opened up your books and as far as what happens and what goes on in the whole company. And financially, I like to see financially what's working, what's paying, what's not. But I would go, here's the thing. Obviously, I can see coming in from the outside, this is not working. This is not working. These 5 things are. This definitely is. Don't even try. I'd be, here's the numbers that prove that. Here's the money you make from that. Give me my check. Thank you. It's great to know you guys. You know they're not going to take their advice, but your advice. But the thing is, coming in from the outside, and it's the same with critics of music. People it's really easy to criticize stuff. Like, it's much easier for me to produce other people because I have a fresh perspective and I'm not tied to it like they are, arguing about wrong notes. But but myself on my own music, and anyone producing their own music, it's the most difficult to be objective. So anyway, before I lost the thought, the reason is with consulting businesses, and I had one that tied into my studio business, is that you're coming in from the outside with a completely fresh perspective, and you're not emotionally bound to any idea. You can just go, look,
Eric,
this ain't working.
Hit the nail.
You know what I mean?
You almost summarized what I did for a living.
That's consulting, man.
Yeah, I had 250 clients, and I had a lot of competition. I mean,
yeah, but I bet every one of them, when you had a great idea and could see clearly what's not working, they'd argue about it. Well, now we can't change this or that. Did you run into that? Because I did. Or they just didn't heed my word at all. I'd get the feeling like they're not going to read this 500-page document. They don't care.
Yeah, the thing is,
sometimes yes, but not always.
I go along with some of that. What you're saying, I guess I had an ability to relate to them somehow, whether it was a guy on the dock, because I found a lot of clients by starting at the dock, talking shit about canoeing and boating and duck hunting and fishing and deer hunting. Man, you gotta talk to the vice president of operations. Well, what's his name? What's his phone number? Well, here's his phone number. I can call him right now. I said, no, call me another time. No, here's the gal that you go right through. You say, Joe and Joe said, man, I'll tell you, it opened up the doors. And I'd get down to their level because I was used to that from the job I had delivering ticker tape. I start from the bottom. And I landed some Eastman Kodak was my personal account. General Mills was my personal account. Xerox, Wegmans Food Markets. I mean, all the canners and winery
My
north.
grandfather was one of the founders of General Mills. That's
Really?
the money that I grew up
Oh
on.
my.
Oh yeah,
God.
he'd use us as
I
test.
love those people. They have the Midwestern type of attitude. In fact, they're the ones who had some problems, but they were such a mindset that you can actually sit down with them and say, look, here's what I kind of analyzed. Let me know if this flies. And say, well, you know, we never thought about that, but here's where we're coming from. And then we'd have a meeting of the minds, and my boss would go in and say, why am I here? You know, Greg's done all the outline. But they would say, well, we want you to sanction what he says. In other words, we want you to reinforce what Greg says. And, yeah, that's right. Or he said, no, that's not such a good idea. They're coming from this end. Oh, okay. And we sit down and we iron. And I love General Mills in Buffalo and on Michigan Avenue because they were from the Midwestern type of mindset. Now, my type of background is dealing with the Northeastern blockheads. I mean, it's not a real fair assessment, but I ran into some real Scheiselkopfs. And I've learned...
Scheiselkopf.
You know what that means in German? So anyway,
I can guess, yeah.
Well, Dummkopf is dumbhead. Scheisel is...
Part shit and part idiot.
You got it.
I speak several languages. Yeah, that's great. Dummkopf, shitkopf, shithead.
Shitheads. But, you know, you just got to swallow your crow, and maybe a year later, they're going to be your best. Well, I had a couple that my boss said, don't even bother going there. What do you mean? I had an argument with this guy a year and a half ago, and he hates my guts. Well, he doesn't hate my guts. Well, he knows me. He knows I'm your boss. It took me a year and a half to break the ice, and he became one of our loyal customers. He says, you're so much unlike your boss. I said, well, geez, I mean, you know, my boss, he's got a lot of responsibility, which I don't. No, but you see clearly. You can clarify. I said, I got nothing to lose. You tell me, hit the door, I'll hit the door.
Yeah.
No. He said, do you do any fly fishing or bow hunting? I said, yeah. He said, so do I. So we got talking about bow hunting and fly fishing. He said, I taught me on fly fishing. You know, I'm not that good. He said, but, you know, do you like to fish? I said, shit, yeah, we love to fish. So we got together. He says, you know, I'm going to give you the business, a quarter of the business, and see how you run with it. I said, that's all I want. I'm not here to blow your doors down. I'm here to start from the bottom. I want to crawl first before I walk. Oh, I like that. He said, and we turned out to be one of his better, you know, clients, or whatever you want to call it.
A lot of it's about politics.
That's a fun thing. You know, it wasn't politics. It was just a matter of
the way you
sitting down with the guys.
The way you present ideas is everything. In music production and business, you know, in producing music, I would always start off, I learned to be diplomatic. I would start off and say, first of all, I am absolutely here. I think you guys are great. I'm here to help you bring out the very best in you. And, you know, what I'm thinking is, I like what you do already. Love it, love it, love it. You know, whatever. Not lying to them. I'm like, but let's try to cut down on the bad notes and, you know, that kind of thing. And just lovingly, slowly kind of, because otherwise they hate you.
You know, the thing is, I found out with musicians, like some other people in their careers, they're temperamental. And you can't handle, that's not the right word, but I'll use it for lack of my brain power. You can't handle artists and musicians the same way you handle business people or engineers. Engineers are very analytical. They rather have you say, this is the way it is, and here's where well, let's look at it, let's diagnose it. But you got to say, well, you know, maybe you're right, and coming back in the end, you got to handle with kid gloves because they are temperamental. And I understand that. You know, I see the differences in people's behavior in different occupations. You know.